So we're going to talk about how to shift your energy around Mercury retrograde, from struggling through it and trying to survive it. Let me know if you've been trying to survive it, to actually utilizing this time to grow and thrive in your business. Wouldn't that be so nice? To actually grow and thrive during this time instead of feeling like you are struggling, right? So for those of you who are not familiar with Mercury, you may be thinking that I'm a little bit nuts. And, and for those of you who are familiar with it, you may be thinking I'm a little bit nuts for saying that this is a time where you really can thrive and grow and expand, right? Depending on what your perspective is. So give me a 1 in the comments if you are familiar with the term Mercury retrograde and you know what it means, okay? Give me a 1. Give me a 2 if you've heard of it and you don't know what it means, okay? But you've heard that term kind of tossed around. And give me a 3 if you have no idea what I am talking about. And there is no judgment. No judgment here, of course, right? So I'm going to pop over to the comments. Hey, Deb, good to see you on. And Michelle, good to see you on. Yes, Michelle used to think that I was a witch. I kind of am a witch in my own way. I kind of am. I've been known to be called the witchy woman, so that's not totally off base. No, I don't cast spells or anything like that. But in all seriousness, I do feel really connected with nature and the cycles of the moon and crystals and oils and all of those amazing things. And I do teach about the principles of manifestation. Michelle, tell me, how did you make the switch over to she's a witch, she's kind of crazy, to she's actually kind of cool? And I'm giving Michelle crap because Michelle and I have been in business together for 8.5 years. Business partners in our nutrition business. So all right, let's hop in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ali Sievewright. I'm a spiritual business coach, a Reiki Master-Teacher, and I'm also the founder of the Selling from Your Soul Abundance Academy. And I really specialize in helping healers, coaches, and heart-based entrepreneurs to create magnetic marketing messages and a soul-aligned sales process that is authentic and effective, so that you can confidently attract and enroll your ideal clients. That is my jam. That is what I love to do. I talk about things like mindset and intuition and spiritual connection, but then I have very grounded business strategy to move you to that next level around marketing and branding and sales and all of the things that you need to create a soul-aligned sales process. And when I mean soul-aligned, I mean authentic, not the kind of sales process that makes you feel gross or makes you feel pushy or awkward or uncomfortable. Let me know down below if you've been there or if you are there right now, if you're holding yourself back in any way because you have a sales process, or maybe you don't even have a process at all, but sales feels really gross, and or sharing what it is that you have to offer, helping people move through resistance that they may have about transforming, feels gross and inauthentic. I get that. I've been there. That's what the majority of the business training is out there, and that's why I'm doing it differently. So let's dive in. What I've seen, guys, in working with thousands of empaths and heart-led women as a spiritual business coach and really as a holistic healer and an intuitive for the past 20 years, is that those who identify as being heart-led women, spiritual women, empaths particularly, are influenced by the shifts in energy, okay? We feel the emotions of others around us. We sometimes even take them on as our own if we don't know how to have those boundaries. We may take them on as our own and then feel drained, right? And a lot of times we're not even aware that we're doing this. But something that's been really instrumental to me in my own spiritual journey and in growing my business has been understanding how I'm affected by not only my personal energy, but the energy around me. And of course, this includes your interactions with your immediate friends, your family, your coworkers, your clients, your community, but it also includes the energy that connects and ties all of us together, including all of nature, the cycles of the moon, the seasons, the planets, the animals, and really the collective experience of people around the world. Let me know down below, has anybody been feeling that way lately? I know that I've talked about how we're kind of stepping into this period of worldwide spiritual awakening in many ways. And even in our own individual worlds, there's been so much change and evolution in this past year. Let me know if you've been feeling that and kind of how this year has gone for you. Like, do you feel like you have grown in any way, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, or in your business? And what I know is that how we choose to look at these changes and whether we resist change and hold on really tight to our old ways and our old paradigms, or if we just surrender to the natural flow of evolution in our personal life and in our business, we dictate how much or how little we actually struggle. So if we just sort of go with it and learn how to kind of shift our perspective in a way that allows us to have more emotional resilience around whatever it is that we're going through, we're going to get through it a lot easier. Would you agree that you're going to get through it a little bit easier? And let's see, Michelle says, a good witch. Well, that's good. And let's see, because your magic works. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Deb says, that's me. Are you talking about being a witch, Deb? Is that you? Or we're talking about just being connected with energy or taking on people's emotions and then feeling drained? I think that is what you're talking about, being an empath. So for me, being able to understand how we're all interconnected energetically and how, because our business is an extension of us, right? Whenever I notice themes or patterns that are happening globally or even in the planets, in the seasons, in nature, whatever it may be, it helps me to not feel all alone in whatever it is that I'm experiencing, but also helps me to surrender to whatever is happening without trying to change, resist, or control it, which is really the heart of mindfulness for those of you who have worked with the principles of mindfulness. It is really when we resist that struggle where we feel anxious and disconnected and we feel low energy, and maybe we even have physical pain in our bodies, or maybe we're not feeling focused or not feeling motivated, right? We are able to manifest our desires much easier when we're in flow with the energy around us instead of fighting it. So this brings me to Mercury Retrograde. Okay, many years ago, I first learned about the phenomenon of Mercury Retrograde, and really what it is it's a period of time when the planet Mercury appears in the sky as if it's traveling backwards. And it occurs about every 4 months, typically lasts about 3 weeks, but there is a shadow period before and after where you also may be feeling the effects. I know for me, the effects of this have been massive, starting in the shadow, when a lot of you know that I lost my entire business account, my business page, my ads account. I've still been locked out of that, and it's been 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So that was kind of my big intro to this particular Mercury retrograde, which was fun stuff, right? Okay, but when I was introduced to this, I was very skeptical. Okay, and then I started to notice that there were patterns happening every 4 months or so, even when I had no awareness that Mercury was retrograde, because I wasn't, charting it. I would notice that these things would happen, and then I would check, and sure enough, Mercury was retrograde. And now, again, I don't chart it, but it's like my barometer just kind of knows when these patterns start to happen. I'm like, is Mercury retrograde? People are always messaging me. Michelle's always messaging me. Is Mercury retrograde? Because she even starts to feel it as well. Hey, Chrissy. Hey, Lisa. Nice to see you on Ladies, okay, so I used to get very stressed out when Mercury went retrograde because it always seemed to be that there was an issue and chaos happening during this time, which would affect me both personally and in my business. Mercury is known as the trickster planet, so things can get a little bit crazy during this time. Let me know if things have been a little bit crazy for you in the last few weeks, like unexplained, like what is going on, okay? This is a period of time when communication can be all over the place. They tell us not to sign contracts or important documents or make these huge changes in your life. Make big decisions to buy a house because you might not have clarity around what you're doing. Now, I will say a caveat that I've learned from this, there's a little bit of a loophole here, okay, is when Mercury is in retrograde, it is a period of time that allows us to reevaluate old decisions. And so what will happen is that something that you may have been thinking about or ways that you may have been doing something in the past that aren't working will surface during this time. And I find when that is the case, this is actually the best time to move forward and make a new decision because you're evaluating an old pattern or an old paradigm and you are getting set on a new course, okay? So that's the caveat. But there can be issues in misunderstandings, breakdowns in communication and relationships. A lot of breakups happen during this time, a lot of arguments. Booking appointments, like maybe you'll book an appointment and then the person will have it written down for the wrong time, or maybe somebody books an appointment with you and you forget about it, or you wrote it down the wrong time, or you're late, or there are people canceling on you or ghosting you. Communication as far as technology, computers, phones, Zoom calls, Facebook Lives. This has been a massive one this time around. Let me know if any of you have been having the computers are running slow, glitchiness in Zoom, glitchiness in Facebook. In fact, Facebook did their entire new changeover and upgrade while Mercury was retrograde. And I was like, oh my God, because you could just see how there were bugs and glitches and problems for weeks and weeks and weeks. People getting their ads count shut down, people getting thrown off of Facebook for absolutely no reason or putting in, Facebook jail, all this kind of stuff happening when Mercury's retrograde. And it's like I knew, I could feel it brewing, and then there it was. And so it's also a time when things from our past start to resurface. People from our past. I know my husband's reconnected with a ton of his old high school buddies in the last few weeks. So old clients, friends, and old belief systems that we've been operating under are going to surface at this time. And it's not always the most comfortable process, but it's coming up so that it can be looked at, so that it can be shifted, so that you can move into your next level of growth personally and professionally. And so I used to get so stressed out around this time, okay, until I uncovered some of the gifts that Mercury brings that I want to share with you. I want to bring you the gifts. I want to bring you a new, more empowered perspective on this time, okay? So I am gonna hop over to the comments real quick and just see what you guys have to say. And if you are just popping on, let me know who's joining. Patty, documents disappearing. Yep. Patty went into IG jail. Interesting. Chrissy, huge FB techie issues. Yep. All right. Okay. So, guys, when I learn how to surrender to the energy of this time and actually use it to my advantage to bring about change and growth in my life, that is when everything started to shift. Okay. One of the patterns that I noticed was that things from my past were coming into the present moment. Projects that I had started but not completed. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've completely revamped my website, which I'm so excited about, so proud of. But that's something that had really been on the back burner for quite some time, which got finished during Mercury retrograde, because one of the cool things that happens is that your creativity starts to unlock during this time, your intuition, your creativity, and your passion. And so ideas and downloads and things really will start flooding in. Synchronicities will start happening during this time. So if you're feeling like you're getting all of these ideas and you're just not sure how to implement them or what to do with them, make sure that you're journaling that down. Because even if you're not doing it now, you know, all of that is there for a reason. And those floodgates are opening now while Mercury is retrograde. And so, you know, ideas that I hadn't explored, I started exploring while Mercury was retrograde and started creating new training and new content. And again, things that I've been wanting to do, but I just sort of have had it on the back burner. People that had reached out to me for information on my services in the past, but then I didn't hear from them, would swing back around when Mercury was retrograde. Clients that I hadn't heard from in a while, I actually stumbled upon a message from somebody wanting information from me from about a month ago that I never saw. And I saw it just now during Mercury retrograde, and we have a call tonight. So, you know, even situations that I was holding on to in the form, you know, from the past would seem to surface during retrograde so that I may be able to look at them from a new perspective and release whatever energy I was holding onto with that experience and look with a new set of fresh eyes. And so now when I go into Mercury retrograde, I take the opportunity to release, reevaluate, reconnect, and redesign my reality, okay? And what I mean by that is I use it as a time to look at the different parts of my life and see what needs cleaning up, okay? What do I need to let go of, both physically in terms of clutter, emotionally, physically in my body? What are my daily habits, physically, emotionally, and in my business that are not serving me right now? Okay. One of the other things that I did just from a physical standpoint, as I am on this elimination reset shred that has taken my health to a whole new level. Again, I had put my physical health on the back burner while building my business, and it started catching up with me. And so this is the time where I've done this reset, and my husband and I have done it together, and we're just knocking it out of the park, and we're helping other people to do it too. And it's not a coincidence that this is happening during Mercury. I wasn't consciously thinking about it, but now that I am, it actually makes sense. So what are the daily habits that you have gone into or fallen into that are not moving the needle either in your physical health, emotional health, or your financial health in your business, okay? As it relates to your business, are you 100% aligned with everything that you are offering right now? Or is there something that feels off? Are you offering products and services that you're 1,000% lit up about, coming out of your skin, want to tell everybody about? Or are you kind of vanilla? Is there an adjustment that needs to happen? Do you need to shift into working with a new type of person or offering a new type of service or a new product? Or even do you need to reevaluate the pricing of your program, right? So are there any areas where there are misalignments? And this is where we start to really correct this while Mercury is retrograde. Okay, in terms of your messaging and your branding, right? Is that on point? Is that reflective of where you are right now and where you're moving in your business? I mean, I have to say, like, this changes a lot. This can change really quickly. Even something that you created 6 months ago maybe doesn't resonate 100% because we're always growing and evolving. Okay, so it really is a time to revisit ideas that you've had when maybe the timing wasn't right, but maybe now the timing is right. Okay. I'm going to pop over to the comments here and see, is this resonating for you guys? Let me know which aspects of this have you been maybe not even aware are happening during this time. Which aspects of this make a little bit more sense now? Things that maybe are surfacing right now. I know there's been a lot of tears. a lot of emotional release from me, and I'm just sort of going with it, right? I'm just letting it go. So one of the biggest benefits of this time is that, like I mentioned, you have this heightened intuition, that voice inside that is pulling you in the direction that you are meant to step onto next. And even if you're not sure where it's going to lead you to, now is the time to really follow those breadcrumbs, okay? Reconnecting and following up with clients who you haven't seen in a while or heard from in a while. Perhaps the last time you chatted with them, the timing wasn't right, but maybe it is now. Reconnecting, how are you doing? Just on a human level, seeing where people are. It's really a time to practice patience, okay? Big time patience, guys. Would anybody agree with me on that? When the computer is not working and the Zoom isn't loading and the stuff that I thought I just saved, I didn't really save, this is a time to practice patience, right? There are going to be things that go wrong and are frustrating, okay? I told you I lost my entire business page and had to start from scratch. There are lessons, though, that I took from that, both from a security standpoint, but because I was hacked in, but also because it was time for a fresh start. It was time for me to up-level in a new way and to focus more on building my business organically. And strengthening that muscle as opposed to relying, let's say, on paid ads, right? There were ways that I wanted to build organically that I wasn't because I had some fear that was running the show. Yes, I teach others how to overcome this, but yes, I am a human being myself. I have fears in my business as well. So I had fears around this, and what that did for me was to force me to get over those fears, take action in a new direction that was going to build my business even bigger, and that is what I have done. And I was putting those things off, okay? And so Mercury gave me this opportunity to reevaluate systems that just weren't working anymore. Okay, there may be miscommunication, guys, while Mercury's retrograde. And I've had no shortage of that, both in my personal life, but mostly in my business. Okay, but Mercury retrograde is giving you that chance to practice mindfulness. Okay, one of the things we talk about in mindfulness is that there is a space between the event that happens, right, and your reaction. Right? And that space is what allows you to step back and to react with more understanding and patience. Okay? Practicing being in the moment, grounding yourself through self-care, nurturing yourself during this time so that you're not so easily rocked or frazzled, right? Or so that you don't go into emotional breakdown and domino and spiral, but that you can then recognize, okay, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, but Mercury's retrograde. Ali told me to expect this, right? This is part of it. I'm going to just go through it. I'm going to surrender to the process, and I'm going to pick back up where I left, right? Often we notice during retrograde that our partner or our kids or whoever may be more on edge, our clients, right? And instead of getting into the weeds with them in an argument and a back and forth, step back and see it from a new perspective, okay? They may not be aware that Mercury is retrograde and that there can be this kind of chaotic time, but you are, okay? Give them some grace. Forgiveness, letting go of what is in the past, seeing it with a fresh new set of eyes. These are all concepts that we can practice during this time, which of course carry over beyond Mercury retrograde, right? Okay, so let me hop in the comments here. Is this resonating for you guys? So Michelle's about to buy a new one. Yeah, so I also am in need, desperate, of buying a new computer. But I have a rule around buying computers and phones when Mercury's retrograde because I know the technology is going to be broken when Mercury is retrograde. It's just, it happens every time. And so I don't want to panic and make a choice to go out and buy something new that may or may not self-correct. Yes, my computer's been running really slow, but I know the pattern here that very often once we get out of retrograde, that's not the case. Fun tip for you guys. Pilots are even aware of when Mercury goes retrograde, and they are kind of told to just be aware of that because it can mess with the instrumentation. I remember a flight attendant, a friend of mine, shared that with me. So, you know, it affects all systems. It affects the tides, you guys. More babies are born, right, on the full moon because it's all interconnected. This is all part of it. So I wait to get a new computer and a new phone. And then if it's still not working, then I get it. Okay? Yes, Michelle, even coaches need a coach. I will never be without a coach. Never, ever, ever. All right. So let's see, Chrissy, what do you have to say here? Didn't think of that because I need a new computer too. Yep, for sure. So guys, be mindful that communication may not be at its highest right now. And that means that when you're booking appointments for yourself or scheduling clients, send extra reminders, okay? Double check your calendar. Double check that important emails are being sent. That's another one. Sometimes we'll think we've sent something and it didn't go through. The person didn't receive it. So if you're sending an important email, just take a minute to go to your sent file, make sure that it went through, okay? Understand that if you're booking travel, there may be delays. If you know that going into it, then you won't freak out when they happen, right? Back up your work. Right? On your computer, back up your work. And, you know, I would just say that, you know, and let me know down below if you have any survival tips too. I definitely want to hear what yours are. But I would just say that if you feel like you've been stuck in your business and you have kind of been putting that on the back burner, procrastinating, getting the help that you need, now is the time to revisit that. If you feel that pull inside to move in a new direction, or you're not feeling 100% lit up with what you're offering, or people are just not responding, now is a really great time to look at some of those cobwebs just in time for Halloween, some of those cobwebs that might be there, and find some of those leaky spots in your business so that you can get on the right path and making more income and income impact in your business. Guys, I've opened my calendar with some slots to talk to anyone who is serious about getting that support in the next 30 days. Feel free. I will leave the link up above to schedule a free breakthrough clarity call with me so we can talk it out, see where you're at, see where you want to be, and really whether or not I can help you get there.